see. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, not on. There we go. Oh, yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway, day 15. This is the last day, folks. We are finishing up. Today we will be posting the final assignment, as well as the day 15 homework assignment. The final assignment is due tomorrow, and it is called the final exam. Please do not let our choice of words frighten you. Y'all are ready for this. All right, this is going to show y'all exactly how much you have learned.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but you're echoing on the computer.
I'm echoing?
Yeah, like you're coming in 2 times.
That's
I
weird.
think it says the computer audio is off.
Okay. Alright, I mean, computer audio is always on though. Let's see. 1 second, folks. Trying to get this. But yes, that is what we are going to be doing over the next couple of days, folks. So let's see. Well, today and tomorrow, because today is our last opportunity for a live stream together. So at the end of today, if you have any questions, issues, or concerns, we will definitely have plenty of time for that. I'm just toast. All right, Mr. Salsera, is that working better? Did that take care of that reverb we were getting?
There you go.
All right, sweet, thanks. All right, let's see here. All right, so fantastic. Now that we've got that figured out and it's no longer affecting us, let's get to buying a car, insurance, and final review, the Hernandez Driveway. Now, everybody, once again, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm having a pretty good one. I was a little late to work. Traffic was bad, and then when I got on the expressway, there was just the right amount of water for a constant rainbow. It was pretty cool. Rainbow started off to my left and ended right in front of me, so I was like, stay in this lane. God, thank you, Jesus. But yeah, no, I was driving slow, and it just took a little while to get here. But that's all right, folks, because today's going to be a short day, and we're going to have plenty of time for extras. You still have the set audio. Toast. Okay, what about there? And then over here, we'll drop it down as well. Is that better? Is that taking care of any extra static, any extra reverb? Because I do want to make sure that y'all can hear me today. Alright, and I hope you enjoyed yesterday when y'all got to watch Nobody Beats the Train. Because it's always rough. Alright, and there we go. Maybe that. Okay, well, if there's any other issues with the audio, someone please just let me know. Throw it into the chat. Pop that out right now, because I know we will definitely be navigating away from the base web page. Okay, so buying a car, insurance, and final review. All right, folks. Let's see. So buying a car, first thing we're going to discuss is purchase price versus sticker price. All right. Never pay the sticker price. They can always go lower, unless you are in what is called a seller's market. A seller's market means that more people want to buy something than the current demand is able to keep up with. That's why things like Yeezys wind up selling for twice as much the next day, because the demand is not as great as the demand is greater than the supply. All right. In those instances, yes, they can be like, use that big league energy on you and be like, no, I'm sorry, we can't take anything less than this. And they don't have to sell you the car because someone else will come in and buy it for the lower price that they want to. All right. Now, we are currently in a partial seller's market. Okay? If they have a car on the lot and they have like 20 of them, you're good with that model. If you can't find a single... Okay. If you can't find a single one of the car that you want in the car lot, then you are in a seller's market. They're not able to maintain the inventory, the stock, so that they can, like be selling them just one after another. And that means that they're able to sell them for the maximum amount, because for every person that's not willing to pay that, there's going to be another one that is. All right? Now, with any other vehicle though, big league them. Don't take that offer. Do not take the sticker price. If they refuse to go down, if they refuse to give you more on a trade-in, or if they refuse to help you out with that price in a significant way, I'm talking like a couple $1,000, $1,000, $1,500, something real. If they're not willing to do that with you, for you, or more, depending on the value of the vehicle, $100,000 car, if they don't go out down like $8,000, they're definitely hosing you. All right, $15,000 car, $1,500 may be a lot at that point. All right, it just depends on the base price of the vehicle, but they will always go down. And the greatest power that you have is just walking away. My little brother wanted a vehicle. It's actually 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 a vehicle. Okay, now they hear me when I speak regular. No. Huh. Man. Yeah, we're trying to get that fixed. Toast. Still like 1, 2, 3, test, test, test. I mean, sorry about the lack of genuine audio or like good levels, but hey, it's better than nothing. So good.
Yeah, pretty
Okay, so what did they hear?
good.
Any of that?
It just kept, yeah, they heard that, yeah.
No, I mean like the sticker price versus purchase price, or did it just?
They heard that for a while and then it just kept repeating.
All right. So just once again, folks, sticker price. The power that you have at a car lot is the ability to leave, because they make zero money if they sell zero cars. They want to sell cars. They want your money. They want you to buy something, and they want you to take it financed so they make the maximum money right on the spot. Right? And unless you have the cash to buy the car outright, you really can't big league them for too much money. But you can get them to drop the price. When my little brother left, he told me they were going to give him $1,000 trade-in for his vehicle. I laughed and I was like, I'll give you $1,000 for it. And he's like, really? Okay, well then, yeah, I'll sell it to you. I was like, sweet. So that's actually what I'm driving right now, because I thought it was ridiculous to get rid of such a good vehicle for $1,000. So I gave him the money, and when he went back like a week later and asked about it, like, so you guys still have that one that I looked at last time? They were like, yeah. He's like, all right. So I sold the car. I'll give you $1,000 cash. And they were like, oh, well, since you got the $1,000 cash and it's not the trade-in, and then they just started coming up with stupid stuff. But here's the thing: $1,000 trade-in, the vehicle was still blue booking at around $4,000. That means they were trying to take him for $3,000, but now he came back with cash, and now they're telling him how that's better and how they'll bring the price down further. And they actually came down to like 42 from 47, 48. So, they always have that ability, folks. Now, if they refuse to budge and you refuse to pay full price, then just walk away, find another dealership, find an online retailer that sells it. Online retailers generally have better deals when it comes to trying out a car than a dealership does. And we'll talk about that here shortly. Now, financing, unless you have that cash to buy the vehicle outright, you will have to go out and get yourself a loan. Now, since you have no credit, since you have no credit score, you're going to be paying a very high APR. And APR is the annual percentage rate that's based on your credit score. Okay? So what is that credit score? Well, it's a number that lets companies know how good you are at paying your bills. Everyone starts off with like a 450, and that basically means you've done nothing. If you have a 450, you've done basically nothing with your credit. You haven't messed it up, you haven't improved it, you've just nothing. You are a neutral being. And now, because we live in the digital age, they can check and see, is that because he's using it poorly and badly, or is that because she's, just not using their credit whatsoever? Now, who knows? Well, they can now check, they can see, and because everything's digital, it's a lot faster. A lot more things are reported. All right? Now, if you pay late or don't pay at all, you're going to have a much lower credit score. Your 450 is going to start dropping, and dramatically. If you pay on time, you're going to have a higher credit score. But see, here's the thing. Credit is kind of like good behavior. The law doesn't care that you spent 25 years being a law-abiding citizen. That one thing you did bad is going to cost you big. And credit's just like that. Back in January, I was late one payment. And it wasn't that I didn't have the money. It was just the payment slipped my mind. It was a bill that I don't have on auto pay because I typically overpay it. It's, in fact, my credit card. I owe like $1,200 on it. Because I get it down to about $1,000, and then I need to get something and back onto the card, and then we pay it back down. I overextended my line of credit, but I had $8,000 worth of credit out, and now I'm down to $1,200. So I'm doing okay. I'm not in a bad spot. All right. But that one late payment cost cost me so many points that it was the end of May, the beginning of June, before I was back to where I was. And that really sucked for me because I was hoping this was going to be the year I hit an 800 credit score. An 850 credit score is basically, you know, you glow as you walk in and the discounts just drop like dollar bills on a heavy gravity planet, because that shows them that you pay on time, that you don't have overextended credit, that you're good with making your payments, and that you're responsible with all your stuff. You know how to take care of your business. That's how you get an 850. All right. Right now I'm at a 760 because of that error back in January, so I did not quite make it. And I'd have probably only been at about 809. But I did wind up losing about 50 points because of that one incident. And then it took me paying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bills on time for another 4 months to recover those same points from one payment late. And I'd also gotten a few points that month because the other 4 payments were on time because everything else was on auto pay, right? Right now, y'all have no credit, which is worse than bad credit, all right? Companies have no idea what kind of payer you're gonna be, so they're gonna be charging you a higher percentage rate, and they're gonna approve you for a lower amount of money. So if you want a car that's worth too much, you might not get it. Or your interest rates may be ridiculous, twice, maybe even 2.5 times what they could have been had you had a good credit score, all right? So you wanna start building your credit as soon as possible. Hey, how do we build credit? All right, well, that's easy. You get a credit card. You charge one thing a month. Now, this is like a tank of gas. What my recommendation is, that's worth 10% of what you make. All right? You make $100 a month, you can spend $10 on that card. You make $300 a month, you can spend $30 on that card. Well, why so little, Steve? Well, A, we're buying credit. All right, we're gaining 4 or 5 points on our credit score, and we're paying $1, $1.30 in interest on every one of those payments that we make. Because we charge something, we let the bill come through, they tack on a little bit of interest, and then we pay the full amount off. And boom, you just gain 5 points on your credit score. And you do that every single month. And boom, and boom, and boom. And maintain a bank account with a balance of at least $500 and more credit points. And start paying bills like loans, car insurance, utilities. Pay them on time and you'll get another 1 or 2 or 3 points every single month. All right? That's how credit's going to get built. The easiest way is to buy credit by getting a credit card and doing the 10%. But why only 10%? Well, the plain and simple reason is this. All right? If you get fired tomorrow after you just bought that 10% item, and you have not worked yet this week, it is much easier to come up with $30 than it is to come up with $100, than it is to come up with $200, than it is to come up with a full $300 that you make every month. All right? Much easier. All right? Now, I made the mistake of maxing out a couple credit cards when I was 18. I went to college and some dude was like, dude, we have free t-shirts. Apply for this credit card and we'll give you shirts. And I was like, oh my God, I love free shirts. Well, that day cost my credit score 120 points. Everyone else started off with a 450. After that day, I had a 320 or 330. I did get approved for 2 cards before my credit score dropped too low for me to get approved again. And I maxed out one card at $500, one card at $1,000. Well, that $500 card, I did not take care of. The $1,000 one, I did pay it off. The $500 one found me last year, right? When I was 40, 22 years later, and with interest, taxes, and fees, I had to borrow money to pay it off, and it was over $2,000. Don't make that mistake. Don't think that you've got a job, you'll be able to take care of it, because you know what? People get tired of jobs, or money gets tight and you just can't afford the extra expense, and people choose to default on bills that don't help them. Okay? I gotta pay my light, I gotta pay my water, I gotta pay my gas, and I have to buy gas for my car. I'm sorry, credit card, I can't pay for you. I'm sorry, Flexi Compras TV, I can't pay for you. Because we have to learn to prioritize. And when you do that, you're negatively affecting your credit score. So the best thing to do is keep it small so that you can just pay it off. All right? Do that every single month. Every year, you'll gain 30, 40 points on your credit score. At the end of 1 year, that's a 490, not impressive. But at the end of 5 years, that's a 650. That's a reasonable credit score. And that's just this one little tactic. That's not the other bills you're going to start paying. Your car insurance, your car payments, your rent. If you're renting from a major corporation that owns a lot of apartments, and there's some of those even down here in the valley, they report when people make it through a lease without defaulting. Okay? Now, buying a car. The number one thing we have to concern ourselves when it comes to buying a car is depreciation. Because depreciation is the amount of value that you lose in your vehicle over time and distance. All right? The second you drive off the lot, your car has depreciated in value, and that's a misnomer. Because the second you have signed and made the car yours, a car that has had 0 owners is a new car. Okay? New car worth, in this case, $20,000. So let's say you're trying to decide between 2 cars, right? A red one and a yellow one. They both cost 20 grand. All right? You buy the yellow one, you drive it down the street, and right as you're getting to the corner, someone screams out, "Hey, look! It's the Banana Mobile!" And you think to yourself, damn it, I didn't think about that. I was thinking Bumblebee from Transformers because this car is cool. But it's not cool enough to actually be Bumblebee, and so now people are going to be calling my car the Banana Mobile. Forget that, I'd rather be an apple. So you run back to the dealership, okay? And you're like, hey, you know what, my bad. I wanted the red one, not the yellow one. And they're like, no problem. All right, so here's the deal. The car was $20,000, but now it's got 1 owner, so we'll give you $16,000 for the yellow car, and then we'll just stack that extra $4,000 on top of the cost of the red car. Now you owe us $24,000, and you get to drive away in the Apple Mobile. All right? Because now the yellow car can never be sold as new. Even though you drove it less than a mile, it's had 1 owner. Depreciation is affected by 3 major factors. Okay, there's other ones that can affect it, but the main ones that they look at is mileage. The distance the vehicle has gone with the current engine and transmission. Okay, well, the more you drive, the less your car is worth because the closer to death it is. Right? That's why vehicles with low mileage are so sought after when it comes to economy cars, because they have retained their value and they're going to last as long as humanly possible. All right, my car is approaching 200,000 miles, and my mechanic just like shudders every time he looks at that. The engine and the transmission have both been replaced before I got it, because otherwise I'd have bought me a car that was getting ready for that nonsense. All right. But yeah, that's the problem. And then the last thing that affects it is, of course, condition. All right. If you choose to have it airbrushed with, anime characters, but you choose to make it like the bug guy from Naruto and the villain from Bleach in some sort of weird mashup, no one but you's going to want that car. So they're going to look at it and they're going to think, we need to get it painted, so the value's going to go down. All right. Now, you put a big old Superman or Wonder Woman logo on your vehicle, and it's something that's universally appealing, the value won't go down because of that. Or if the paint job is just a regular paint job and it gets messed up, the car's dented because people bump into you regularly, you park at the street side, and so it's just got lots of little scrapes and scratches and bumps and dings and dents, your car is going to be worthless. But it is in that order: the number of owners, the mileage, and the condition of the vehicle. Even if it's got 50 miles and the condition of the vehicle is amazing, if that car went person to person to person to person to person and was sold 10 times within a month, that car would be worth half as much as a brand new one with just the 1 owner, regardless of the fact that the mileage was done, because that's how much that affects it. Now, it's supposed to affect it because we don't know how different owners are going to take care of their vehicles. But the real story is that they're not going to mess with the algorithm when it comes to things like that and low mileage. They're going to use that as an excuse for the vehicle having a lower value, because dealerships want to get the car from you as cheaply as possible and sell you its replacement as expensively as possible, because they're going to sell that used car as well. and they want it for as cheap as possible so they can get as much money for it as possible. Right? Now, what kind of car to buy? Because buying a car that suits your needs is more important than buying a car that is the car of your dreams. Okay? Now, the very first car that I wanted was a 67 Mustang convertible in red. I was lined up to buy it. I didn't even know how to drive standard, and I was like, for this car, I'll learn. And the guy sold it the day before I showed up to go give him the money, even though I told him I was showing up on Friday to go give him the money. All right. So what did I get after that? I got a different vehicle. I got a vehicle that met my needs. What were my needs? Well, me and some fam carpooled to college, so I needed a vehicle that could comfortably sit 5 people. All right. I wanted something fuel economical, so I got me a 4-cylinder SUV. All right, 4-cylinder, an economy SUV. I love that vehicle. It was purple and glitter, and in the sunlight, that thing was, well, it was like having an I Love Edward Cullen tattoo across each bicep and your chest. You know, it wasn't exactly screaming masculinity, and it was only going to appeal to a certain demographic of individuals. But that car was amazing. It was exactly what I needed. It was fuel economy, but with enough space. And that made my car the weekend beach car, because back in that day, that was $1 a gallon for gas. That's when gas was still cheap, and I was still concerned about economy. Okay? Now it's even more important because gas prices get up to $4 or $5 a gallon. The vehicle that I drive right now gets about 18 to the gallon. My fiance's car gets about 30 to the gallon. Why don't I drive hers to work? Well, because A, she needs to use it for her stuff, and B, I'd rather be driving on these crazy expressways in my big old SUV than her little Ford Fiesta gas-saving awesomeness. Long trips though, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, out of state, it's definitely her car though. Okay? So buy the vehicle that you need. All right? Larger vehicles are more comfortable, but they waste more fuel. Okay? So do you need a large vehicle or a small? Well, it's just me. I don't hang out with my friends. We do everything online, and I'm just going from home to school. So what do you need? You need a car that gets you from A to B as cheaply as possible. You need an economy car, a vehicle with a small engine and a small car. Save you some money. But you could think to yourself, but I need a truck, Steve. I have a ranch that I live on, and the new vehicle we get, we need to use it for hauling, pacas of sweet A and jumbo for the cows and the goats and the sheep, and we need a real vehicle. Well, then boom, that's the vehicle that you actually need. That's the one that you buy. All right? But if you're going to be driving from your house that's in city to university and a job and home, well, then you want a car that's going to cost you less. Right? Automatic transmissions retain their value more poorly than manual transmissions, because manual transmission, you shift. A good manual driver will shift exactly when it's necessary, and that vehicle will last longer than an automatic transmission vehicle. Automatic transmission vehicles have lifespans, most of them around 120,000 miles. A manual transmission car is more reliable up to about 140, 160,000 miles. So it is a tremendous difference, folks. But get the vehicle that you need because it's the one that you need. Get the one that meets your needs. All right? If you have 9 little brothers and sisters and you know that your folks are going to expect you to be the one that chauffeurs them around now that you're grown up and you got your license of your own, get a vehicle that will hold them all. Okay? But if it's just you and a couple people, and all you're going to be doing is driving places and not really doing anything, well, get you an economy car. If you plan on becoming a kidnapper, get you one of those white vans. But get the vehicle that meets what you need. Okay? Don't get that big old kidnapping van if you ain't gonna be kidnapping. There's no need for it. What do you need all that cargo space for? All right? A regular trunk is just fine for dead bodies, folks. No, but seriously, it is about getting the vehicle you need. All right? I know people that buy those little white kidnapper-looking vans. Why? Because they run businesses out of there. One guy has a mobile locksmithing station. Legitimately kind of awesome. Everything that's in that vehicle, but that was the vehicle that he needed. That was the vehicle for his job. Right? And I knew another old fella that, he went from a land yacht, one of those 20-foot long oldies, to just this little teeny tiny economy car, because that was now his need. That was all he needed at this point. right? So focus on that, folks, because remember, things like the variety of car affects the cost of insurance. And when we talk about insurance, we'll talk about what the different cars are looking like, right? All right, so we're almost getting there. Let's go. All right, so now we've also got leasing a vehicle. All right, if you want to be balling and driving the nicest car at all times, and you want to have a car that you can rely on and you don't have to worry that it needs to go to the mechanic for major repairs, then leasing, and you have disposable income coming out your ears, then leasing's the gig for you. All right, leasing a car is like leasing an apartment. You are signing a contract to rent that thing for 2, 3, or 4 years. All right, you give a down payment just like you would buying because that's their money up front. All right, but then that down payment is gone. It is not yours. It is their money, so that they have that little bit of money right in, and then they're handing you that new car that they're now renting you. All right, the payments for the lease are generally lower than payments on buying a vehicle, but you're not effectively paying anything towards the value of the vehicle in any significant way when you lease a vehicle. So, you know, it is very different from buying. All right, you're not developing any kind of ownership. It is never yours. You're just borrowing it under contract. Okay, but you can lease a car for 3 years, and then at the end of the 3 years, you return it and go, I'll take that one right over there, and they'll start you up and they'll lease you a different car, so that you've always got something awesome, right? So the advantage is that you will always have the newer car. Okay, the disadvantage is that you will never own your car and you will always have a car payment. The other downside of the leasing is normally that there's mileage restrictions. If you put too many miles on the car, you can and will have to pay more. And you need to pay attention to those figures when they're talking about the extra mileage, because a friend of mine got a car, put 10,000 extra miles on it thinking it was a dime. He's like, that's no problem, I'll give him $1,000 extra and I'll be good. Checks his lease, 50 cents a mile for overage. He would have had to not driven it at all for the last year and a half that he had it to stay within the mileage, and wound up paying $5,000, $5,000 and some change, on just mileage fees, right? Because he went over the restricted mileage. Now, there are a couple more upsides. One, your vehicle will always have all the newest stuff that you want and the newest and best safety features. And if there are any factory recalls on stuff, you'll be able to get it fixed because newer vehicles, their factory recalls go pretty quickly. Okay. Another disadvantage of leasing is, let's say you fall in love with a car. You get a car and you're like, man, this thing is your lucky charm. The day you got it, you know, you met the person of your dreams, you got accepted to your favorite school, the first time you needed money for gas, you found a $100 bill on the ground, and you were like, oh, sweet. You know, this thing was just, it was a magical experience, and you now love your car. Okay, great. So you want to buy your car from them. They're going to be like, no problem. So, over the last 3 years, you've gone ahead and given us $9,000, all right? But $6,500 of that was just all leasing fees. The rest was actually credit towards your principal in the event that you want to buy it. So don't worry though, that's $3,500. You gave us $1,000 down, that's $4,500. And the car was $20,000 new. So go ahead and give us $15,500 and this car is yours. And then you look over at the car lot at the exact same car in a different color, and it probably has less miles because you know you put a bunch of miles on it. And that exact same car is for sale for half that much. And you're like, hey, well, why is that one only that much, but this one's going to be $15,500? Oh, well, this vehicle's only had one owner. If you bought that one, it would have had 2 owners, and it will depreciate due to that. If you buy the car that you leased, well, it stays yours, or it becomes yours officially, and it's only ever had 1 owner. That's how they get you. All right? So, yeah, it's leasing a car. If you wind up loving the car, trying to buy it becomes more expensive than getting the same vehicle, but just a different one. And then there's one other little problem. When you are buying a new car or leasing a car, you are required to have full coverage insurance. Well, what's full coverage? All right, so every state has financial responsibility laws. They require that you prove that you can pay for damage that you might cause. Remember, we talked about like $55,000 for the state comptroller or a judge or the sheriff's office. Okay, that's being able to prove you can pay for damages. All right, but you could also just pay monthly for car insurance because insurance does the same thing. You pay them money, and in the event of an accident, they take care of bills for you. All right, so the types of insurance start off with a basis. All right, liability insurance. And insurance is kind of like a sandwich, right? You can have a sandwich that's not really satisfying, but meets the standard definition of sandwich. 2 slices of bread with something in between. Well, there's air in this. So it's an air sandwich. 2 slices of bread, nothing else. And that's your liability insurance. That covers only the other driver or only the other car in the event of a collision. And I believe it's like $35,000 to $45,000 limit in this, or minimum in the state of Texas that they'll provide you coverage on. All right, so what does that mean? That means whatever you pay for your liability, they're covering you $35,000 or $45,000 maximum on the other vehicle. Okay, so if you do that much damage or less, you're fine, you're covered. But the problem is that being the bread, being the basis of a sandwich, this has no substance, and by substance I mean it does nothing for you. You wreck, you're out of car too, but their car gets fixed and you get nothing. That's liability insurance. So I don't think liability insurance is enough to be satisfying. I don't think liability, just bread, makes a good sandwich. So now we've got bodily injury insurance. Bodily injury insurance is in the event that someone either in your car or in the other car gets hurt in a crash, they're going to be covered for up to the same amount, $35,000 for a person, $60,000, $55,000 per collision, somewhere in that range. I don't have the exact numbers. I asked my insurance agent to send them to me, and he never did. Not a great insurance agent, but the best rate I could find. So, oh well. But yeah, bodily injury insurance is going to cover X amount of dollars at a maximum, and there's going to be a maximum for each individual that's going to be less than that total max, obviously. And that's what that covers. Now, once again, yeah, this is nice because if somebody has to go to the hospital, somebody gets hurt, they're covered, but you still don't get another car. And, if all you needed was like an ace bandage and some Tylenol, you're not going to be real happy with the level of service that this provides you. So bodily injury insurance is like having a good sauce on there. It's a nice spicy mustard or, mayo or whatever you like most on a sandwich. It's kind of like that because, yes, it does add to it, but it's nothing substantial, just something that makes it, have that little bit better taste in your mouth. It's a little more palatable than just bread. All right, and then we have property damage insurance, and you can add all of these independently. So you can have just liability and property damage, or just liability and bodily injury. All right, and property damage insurance, that one's kind of like cheese. It is actually protecting you from more because property damage insurance is kind of like liability insurance, but for stuff instead of cars. Like you hit a fence, you hit a donkey, you hit a house. You run over someone's dog, that could be handled through the car insurance, right? Because that's property damage. All of those are property of an individual. And if you cause greater than $1,000 worth of property damage, well, you're liable to pay for it. So property damage insurance is nice. It's like a cheese, but it's not like a thick slice of cheese. It's adding to the sandwich. Now it's protecting us from more stuff, but still not real satisfying because 1 slice of cheese and 2 pieces of bread does not a great sandwich make. All right? Now, medical payment insurance. This is like long-term. They are seriously messed up. They need it at the accident. They needed to go to the hospital, and now they need a surgery to fix something. Medical payment insurance is going to take care of that kind of stuff. The things that happen after the accident, the lingering consequences, the physical therapy, things like that. They had to have exploratory surgery in my cousin's leg to pull out some clots before they got to his heart or brain and killed him. That was covered by medical payment insurance on his insurance because the other guy didn't have any. So once again, that is helping you out. But that's like, pickles or sliced jalapenos or cucumbers, whatever you like on your sandwich. It's adding to it, but still it doesn't have that substantialness that you would from just that super thick slab of tomato if you're a vegetarian or vegan. Or, your favorite sandwich meat if you're a carnivore like me. All right? And then collision insurance. Now, finally, this is our favorite sandwich meat. Why? Because This covers your vehicle. If you have liability and collision only, their car will be fixed, your car will be fixed. And so, yeah, bread and, in my case, pastrami is an okay sandwich. It's still not super satisfying, but it's definitely much better than any of the options I've had before, right? Because now it's really doing something for me. It's giving me that satisfaction of they're taken care of and I'm taken care of, all right? So collision is the damage done to your vehicle in an accident that's your fault. All right, and then comprehensive covers everything outside of collisions, floods, some fat guy runs up and like slides across your hood as a funny gag and the whole hood is dented in. Comprehensive insurance would cover stuff like that. Or recently, my vehicle was parked outside my apartment. I was asleep. It was like, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was taking a nap and my landlord calls me, wakes me up and says, "Hey Steve, do you drive a Silver Escape?" And I'm like, "I do." "You need to come downstairs right now." "Oh, damn it. I gotta get by a car while I was parked and asleep." Comprehensive insurance. His comprehensive insurance covered it. Okay. Well, it was probably his property damage. But if he hadn't had insurance, my comprehensive would have covered it because I do have full coverage on my cars. All right. And then the most important thing, and I think this is like bacon. Because even if you just have bread and bacon, bacon's a good sandwich meat. All right, so if you're not a meat eater, gluten-free bread and like quinoa or kale or chard or whatever your favorite sandwich stuffer is. Maybe that thick slice of tomato. But that's what uninsured and underinsured motorist is. Why? Okay. Let's say somebody hits you and you have a nice whip. You got a $100,000 car and they got the regular insurance. They hit you and they total your vehicle. $100,000, zero. That is what your car is worth now. Well, their insurance has limits, has maximums. So your insurance will cover $65,000, which will definitely bridge that gap because if they've got the $65,000 and you've got the $65,000, $130,000 is definitely more than your car is worth. Therefore, you will be covered. You will get that full value back. All right. Otherwise, their insurance is just going to pay you the maximum amount. All right. What else does it do? Well, in the state of Texas, as of August of last year, thanks to Greg Abbott and some other legislators that decided that the decision would be a good idea, individuals without a Social Security card can no longer get a driver's license. Lots of people believe you need to have a driver's license to get car insurance. You don't. Insurance companies are going to charge you more if you don't have a license. But you don't need to have car insurance or a driver's license to have car insurance. If you are driving a car in the state of Texas, that car is legally required to have insurance. You are legally required to have a license. If you don't have either, then you get a ticket for both, driving without insurance, driving without a license. One of those is 500, one of those is 200, and you know which one's 200. All right? So you have to have insurance. But people, because they think you have to have a driver's license to get insurance, or can't afford driver's license, or at least that's what they tell, or car insurance, or at least that's what they tell themselves, their personal stuff is more important than, like I have a friend, can't afford car insurance, but Xbox Live Gold, Game Pass, and like $10 worth of Xbox credits every single month, but does not have insurance on his car. And I'm like, nah, man, you have money for car insurance. You just choose to spend it on other stuff, right? And unfortunately, that is the case down here too. We have a remarkably high percentage of uninsured drivers down here. It's a little more than it is in most other areas because we've also got individuals crossing over for tourism from Mexico. Hey, and uninsured, underinsured is going to protect you in the event that they have nothing. Now, if your car's worth $100,000 and they have nothing, you're still only going to get the 65, but that 65 is much better than the big old zero you would have if you did not have uninsured, underinsured motorists. So my solid recommendation is if you own a car and you get to choose your level of insurance, never have less than liability and uninsured, underinsured motorist. As long as you drive safe, as long as you're committed to doing everything right and you are not found at fault, that will cover you no matter what happens with the other person. If you know you're going to be running red lights, if you know you're going to be running stop signs, then you need all of it. You need full coverage. But do not drive around. Do not think it is cool to drive around with just liability, because liability is not going to protect you in the event that it's your fault or in the event that they don't have insurance. All right? Liability insurance just means that you can pay for them. All right, now all of this together is full coverage. And full coverage on an economy car, let's say that costs $1, right? Okay, well, on an SUV, full coverage is like 1.5. On a work truck, it's like 1 1/3. On a sports car, it's like 2. Okay, a sports car will cost twice as much as an economy vehicle, if not more. I had a 2000 Pontiac Firebird that I was paying $279 a month for full, well, not even full coverage. I did not have comprehensive on that one. I just had collision, medical, property, bodily, liability, and uninsured, underinsured. I did not have comprehensive because my whole car was worth $1,000 and it would be totaled the first time I tried to make a claim against it, regardless of what it was. So it was just not worth it. But I was paying $279 a month. Right now, for an SUV and an economy car, I'm paying $271 a month. And we have full coverage on both cars. We have everything. Okay? And we also have AAA as an add-on. Now, there's another little great product that's not listed on here because AAA is an additional service that you buy from a company named AAA. All right? They're an automotive company that actually offers life and car insurance. But the service that they provide that I think is just the most amazing is AAA Roadside Rescue, roadside coverage. And for $3 a month per car, like we have got 2 cars, I pay $6. But for $6 a month, if I need a tow, those generally cost $100, $150, I get a tow. If I lock my keys in either car, we can get someone out there to go pop the lock. That's normally $100. If I run out of gas somewhere in the middle of nowhere, well, you can fix that with 2 Ubers and a gas tank. So you can probably get away with getting to a gas station for about $40, but I don't have to worry about that. If I have a tire go out and I don't have an appropriate spare, like I don't right now, if I don't have an appropriate spare, they'll take me to a tire shop. They'll tow my whole vehicle to the nearest tire shop so I can have a tire put on. All right. Yes, we can fix that with 2 Ubers and a tire shop, but that does require that, we spend about $70. And then you have to get an Uber that's big enough to take that tire. Because if they just have a back seat, they're going to let you throw it in there. All right, but so let's just look at AAA on a year value, okay? In 12 months, it cost me $72. In the last 3 years, I have not used my AAA. That means I have spent $210 in the last 3 years and gotten nothing for it. However, when I had the minivan that I had 4 years ago, in 1 year, I had 4 tows. And I had 1 tank of gas because the gas gauge just bottomed out. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to drive it home and I'll call my mechanics and I'll just stop and put some gas. And yeah, that didn't work out. When I was about a block away from home, my vehicle just ran out of gas. And instead of mucking around, I just called AAA and let them know, hey, I ran out of gas, I just need a gallon. And they brought me a gallon. And so I got to the gas station and, it was good. But had I Ubered it, or, because I didn't own a gas tank, but had I Ubered it and done the purchasing, I'd have spent like $40. It was free, right? So that year I spent around $700, $650 worth of services, and that year I paid $72. Okay? And every year I pay $72 for the 2 vehicles. It really is an awesome service, all right? The first time you need a tow, Now the tows are restricted. It's 15 miles to the nearest service or the nearest service center if your mechanics aren't within 15 miles. So like if you take to the island and you live in Roma, you're gonna be in some trouble. You're gonna have to pay some extra, but better to pay extra than that full amount, because even though it would be like a $350 tow normally, because you got AAA, you might get it for like $150. All right, so it does help. It does make a tremendous difference, folks. So I do highly recommend that once you start paying for your own car insurance, or if you talk to your parents about car insurance, ask them if they already have AAA. AAA is a lifesaver. All right, it really is, and unless you have like OnStar included in on your vehicle, some of the services they provide, like lock your keys in the car. When I was driving a security vehicle, we had AAA for the security vehicle, and that meant that all we had to do whenever we locked the keys in the car was call someone. Well, that happens regularly when you've got people talking to you and other people shutting your door for you because they're trying to park in that space, and you're like, oh my God, the keys are in the car. Oh, dang it. Okay, so stuff happens, and we use that a bunch, and they never dropped us. That was super cool. All right, but all of this together is full coverage, and the average price for an individual your age is going to be $350. But we can go below average to about $250, $220 by having an economy car, something that was made for safety, not for, like speed and luxury. Or we could pay more than the average and wind up paying like $500 a month because you positively had to get that new Camaro, had to get that new Charger, had to get that new Ferrari because your parents could afford it. Hey, when it's not our money, it's very easy to spend. All right, but folks, remember that when the vehicle does become your thing, yeah, if your parents bought you a $120,000 car and they're gonna fix it in perpetuity, that's amazing. But if they bought you a $120,000 car and you're now liable for the fixings, first time something major goes out on that, you're gonna say bye to the car because you may not have $8,000 or $9,000 to replace that expensive part. All right, so think about things, folks, because once it's your financial responsibility, it makes a big difference. Nobody wants to throw their hard-earned money away. Come on, next slide. Can I get a next slide? There we go. Now, insurance rates. What affects how much you pay? Well, driving record. More tickets, more expensive. Remember how we said there's no set number of tickets before you lose your license? Well, those more tickets are raising your insurance rates because, well, the more tickets you get, the more likely you are to have an accident because the more often you're not driving the way you should be. So please, folks, don't get a bunch of tickets and your insurance stays down. 3 years without a citation and you actually get a little bit of a discount from your insurance company and it stays on there until you get a ticket. All right, I've gotten 20-something years without a citation, so I've constantly got that on there. But if I get a ticket, my insurance rates are going to jump up by like 5 or 10% because I've had that discount for so bloody long. All right, age, gentlemen, at the age of 25 years old, you will see a price decrease in your insurance of about 3%. Not too dramatic, but when you're paying $300, $10 more in your pocket's not too shabby. Ladies, you see that same discount when you turn 21. Now, why do ladies get the discount first and men get the discount later? Because men will always pay more than ladies because statistically we are the worst drivers. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, in plain English, in facts. An insurance company cannot charge more for demographic based on gender unless they have statistics to back it up. And statistics show that men have a harder time paying attention to the roadway, keeping their eyes off of distractions. Oh my God, she's so crash. Whoops. Oh my God, that car is so crash. Whoops. Women do that a little bit less than men do, significantly actually. So, ladies, you are the better drivers. Anyone that ever says that men are better drivers, they're like, then why do women get a discount at 21 while men have to wait till they're 25? If they want to lie to you and say, well, that's when men become better drivers, when they're over 25. No, because it took us an extra 4 years to get to that same point. Right? Statistically, it's there. And they're gonna get to keep charging until the statistics no longer bear that. How do we fix that? Guys, drive safe. Stop speeding. Don't run lights. Don't do anything silly. Try to avoid accidents and follow the rules. As long as we're all doing that, they can't charge any of us extra. But if enough of us are still messing around, enough of us are being chuckleheads, then we all have to pay more, like the system is now. All right? Ladies, keep doing what you're doing. Drive safe, pay attention to the road. Right? Miles driven. The more you drive, the more likely you are to get into an accident. The more you have to pay. If you put 20,000 miles on your vehicle, that means you're sharing the roadway with morons for 20,000 miles. If you put 10,000 miles on your vehicle, well, you're spending half as much time with morons all around you. Right? So you are half as likely to get into a collision. Right? That's plain and simple. Now, when COVID hit, this is the reason that everybody should have seen a huge drop in their insurance rates, but insurance companies were like, "Oh, did you ask about that? Yeah, we can help you out. Oh, you didn't ask? Well, we're not going to mention it to you." And that's what happened. So a bunch of people could have gotten a discount, but we didn't know, or people didn't know in general, to just go and, "Hey, can I get a discount? I'm not really driving because of COVID." All right. Now, marital status, single does pay more than married. My fiance is my fiance. Texas is a common law state, and if you call someone your wife, they become your wife by common law. Well, my insurance company almost set my fiance as my wife, and my insurance rates dropped $45 because of that. I've been okay with that, except I've got an ex that won't sign paperwork, so she's not technically my ex. But I can very much prove that there is a big difference. We're talking like 10, 15% difference in the rate for single to married people. Okay? Apparently, married people drive like they want to get home safely, and single people are more likely to do silly things like drunk drive because they're depressed. Okay? Now, the type of vehicle, here it is in writing. Sports cars are the most expensive. They cost more than SUVs. Okay? SUVs are like 1.5 standard, an economy car is 1 standard, and sports cars are like 2 standard. All right? It is ridiculous. All right? And the sad thing is it's not even about the value of the vehicle, it's about the classification of the vehicle. Because my Firebird was worth $1,000. With all the miles that it had on it and the terrible condition that it was in, it ran well, but it looked like hot garbage. And I was still paying nearly $300. I was paying triple the car's value in insurance every year just to be able to drive it. That sucked. All right? And then the color of your vehicle. Red, blue, and yellow are going to pay more than white, black, or silver because white, black, and silver are most commonly used as fleet vehicles. People learn to ignore the white, black, or silver thing because the white vehicles are doing like city or state work. The black vehicles are like the fleet cars for the businesses. Like most of our competition's cars are black because companies buy black cars. And then silver, those are the colors of professionals' vehicles. Lawyers, doctors, those people tend to get less citations, less tickets because they see the effects of that kind of behavior, that kind of driving. So they're a little safer, and that's why red, blue, and yellow, the bright, flashy colors, the ones that younger people tend to choose, or people that are about the appearance tend to choose, cost more than the white, black, or silver because they get noticed more. And they get noticed more, they're more likely to get a citation. And then where you live. If we live in the ghetto, we pay rates like we live in the ghetto and our car could get stolen at any time. I know this because I used to live in a bad ghetto, an area called La Paloma in McAllen, and the crime rate there was like 1, meaning there was at least 1 crime within that 3-block vicinity every single day. Yeah, that was a tough little spot. Well, unfortunately, when I moved there, my car rates jumped up $100 because my car was more likely to be stolen. And then I put a lock on the gate that was there for the driveway, and I got like $60 of that taken off because apparently pro car thieves don't like running around with bolt cutters, which is hilarious because I know they do. But anyway, yeah. So if you live in an area with a higher crime rate, your insurance is going to cost more because you're more likely to suffer vandalism or theft. And then your claim record. The more you use the insurance, the more it costs. If you crash, even if they're little fender benders, eventually an insurance company is going to be like, no, and they're going to drop you. And then you're going to be scrambling to find someone that'll take you, and it will be way more expensive than what you wanted. Keep that good, safe driving record. Don't choose to make mistakes, and watch out for the other people when they might make a mistake, because we don't want to have accidents. Well, they hit me, it wasn't even my fault, but they didn't have insurance. You still had to make a claim against your insurance. Your insurance rates are going to go up. It's sucks, but that's how it works. All right. Now we can adjust how much we pay for our insurance. One of them is by paying in blocks. All right. Now I pay monthly $272. Okay, but I can pay quarterly for. It comes out to like $250 a month, which means 3 months, and I save like $60. But then I have to give $750 in one shot. Nah, it's not gonna fly with me real well. And then I can pay for a year, and the year's actually pretty good. I can get that year's worth of insurance for about $2,600, which is a little more than 2 months off. It's like 2.5 months off. That is a great deal, but not everyone has $3,000 to just bonk on their car insurance. All right, but you can pay more all at once. Like I use my income tax return to pay rent, so that I got a place to live. If you already got a place to live and you got an income tax return, maybe use it to pay for your car insurance. You know, get it in those big blocks and pay less for it per year. Okay, and then your deductible. All right, now your deductible is, even though you pay every month for insurance, you still have to pay part of the repair costs when you file a claim. All right, that's your deductible. All right, now a deductible, let's say you get in an accident and cause $4,000 worth of damage. All right, standard deductible is $500. So let's say you're paying $250 and have a $500 deductible. You pay $500 and your insurance company is now going to pay $3,500 and finish fixing that car. Okay, that's what the deductible is. That's your part versus their part. Now, we can choose to pay a little bit less every month and have our deductible lowered, or pay a little bit more every month and have our deductible raised. All right. Now, so here's the deal with that, though. All right. So you could pay $300 and lower your deductible to $300 from $500. Well, that means you're paying $600 more a year, and you're saving $200 on your deductible. If you have accidents regularly, that's probably a good deal for you. All right, but if you're not having any accidents, well, why would you want to pay $600 more when you don't ever use it? Okay, so let's think about it the other way. All right, so I'll pay $50 less, I'll pay $600 less, but my deductible goes up by $300. Well, see, now it's like 50% of what we're saving we have to pay on an accident. Once again, if you're not using it, this will work. But accidents happen. Collisions happen, whether we want them to or not. And if the other person doesn't have insurance, then our insurance is going to be the one to take care of it if we have good enough insurance for that. So we probably want a deductible that's reasonable. $800 coming up with all of that at once could be very tough. It'd definitely be easier to come up with the $300 at once and pay the extra $50 every month. But what I say instead is do this. Do what I did. I have an envelope at home that says deductible/emergency car repairs. And that money is specifically for an accident that requires me to pay my deductible or emergency car repairs. Every month I paid a little bit of cash into it until it reached, for me it's $1,000 because we have 2 cars. All right, once it hit $1,000, bam, envelope got sealed, got hidden away from me, and good to go. Like I tucked it away so it's out of sight, out of mind. I know exactly where it is, but it's there because that's not my money to spend. That is my car's money in case there's an accident or it needs, a heart transplant or a brain transplant or, a leg transplant, transmission, engine, instrument control cluster, any one of those, I'm covered. Okay? And then once you've got that deductible in there, well, if you want to go ahead and adjust it, and you know what, let me lower or increase my deductible, let me take it up to $800. And they're like, okay. And so you got your new payment now, whatever you're saving, you're plugging it in until you get that $800 put up, and then boom, you're good to go. And if you know that you will go out and buy a PS5 or an Xbox 2 or whatever the heck the next Xbox is going to be called, if you know you'll spend that money on that first impulse, someone will offer you the newest Yeezys and they're just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, whatever, if you know you'll touch that money when you shouldn't, then ask someone to hold it for you. But ask someone responsible. Like my mom, I could give her $1,000 and she could starve to death, but she'd be like, nope, Steve's $1,000 is still right there, because she will not lower herself to be in my debt. She will not say that she needed my help. So I know that if I asked her to hold on to that money, she'd do it flawlessly. My dad, on the other hand, if I said, hey, Dad, please hold this $1,000, he'd be like, all right, son, and then start thinking about what he needs to spend money on now that he's got some cash. Oh, it's okay, I'll just pay it back. And then he would treat it like a credit card, and he would spend it and spend it and spend it and spend it until it's all gone, and then I'd have an IOU in there that says, I owe you $1,000 that he would never pay me back on. But that would be my mistake, because I know he's that kind of individual. He will prioritize himself above me. Okay? Me and my dad don't have a great relationship, probably because we started it when I was like 25, 27. But the deductible works, folks. Having that envelope for emergency repairs or your deductible is a great idea, because emergency repairs can cost a bunch of money and they come out of the blue. That's why they're emergency repairs. If you already have the money, you don't have to miss extra days of work trying to come up with that cash. And then the longer you're without a car, you could be earning less because you're not able to make it to work. So it's a good idea. It benefits you. It's just the best thing to do, in my opinion. All right, folks. So there's your pro tip for the deductible, because it is much easier to pay an extra $50 a month than it is to pay out $800 at once. But it's even easier to just save up the money and then have it there waiting for you, and then start playing with your deductible. All right. Now, how else can we save on insurance? Well, good grades. If you are an AB student, most reputable insurance companies will provide a discount for their teen drivers. And here's a great one. If you don't take that year off, that semester off, if you just continue into college right after graduating high school, you can continue that until you graduate college, as long as you remain a full-time student. So you can hammer that out another 8 years if you're going to medical school. Save another 5-10% on your, well, probably like 5% on your car insurance because you're getting A's and B's. But, you know, over a decade, that can come out to quite a bit of cash. All right? No claims for 3 years, no tickets for 3 years. Maintain the same company for multiple years, you get discounts. When I went from 1 car to 2 cars, I got a discount. I was actually paying like $212 for my 1 car. The 2 cars is $272. But still cheaper than the Firebird was. See, what else? Good driving record, depending on the company though. Just no claims, no nothing, on-time payments for X amount of years, and they give you discounts. All right. What else? Oh, and bundling. Yes. As Flo has told us, bundling will save you lots of money. Just by adding renter's insurance, my insurance rates went down by like $3-4 because the discount was greater than the charge for the renter's insurance. Kind of awesome. Not going to be like that for everyone, but when you can pick up, insurance on all the stuff in your house for like $6, still a really good deal considering how much everything costs to replace. All right, so at this point, does anyone have any questions, issues, or concerns? Anything that they are curious about, anything that y'all would like to see, or anything that you need to know before I go on to the generic reminders and show you, like how to schedule those drives again or request those drives, how to process a payment, things like that. Anything specific other than those general things that I'm going to show y'all how to do right now, please throw it up into the chat and I will be more than happy to answer it. Now, for those of you that have already passed the DPS exam but have not paid the course off, the day y'all pay the course off, please do remind them ask them, when will my certificate be available? When will my certificate be ready? If it's early enough in the day, you may be able to go pick it up that day. All right, if it's late enough, it may be the next day, but not a big deal. Okay, you want to get that certificate, you want to get that packet because that's what lets you get your permit. Okay, folks? And having the permit is the basic requirement for the drive. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Why did that not work? Okay, well, the final assignment, the day 16 assignment, is referred to as the final exam. Okay, that's what it's listed as on the assignment sheet list, folks. But please don't let that word scare you, because it's an exam over all the stuff that I've taught you over the last 3 weeks. It's an exam over the information that I've been repeating and saying and giving y'all over the last 3 weeks, and it's information that y'all are going to know. All right. At the end of it, it does also give you the opportunity to give feedback. So if there was anything that you did like, anything that you didn't like, if you couldn't stand me as a teacher, if you thought I was fun, please, that is the opportunity to let us know how we're doing, because we cannot fix something if we do not know it is broken. All right. By when do you need to finish paying? Well, payment is due tomorrow. Okay, that is when payment is due, the 15th of October. However, the only thing delayed by y'all not paying is you getting your permit. So the sooner you get that payment in, the sooner you're able to go out and get your permit. If your folks need extra time or if you need extra time because you're paying for your own driver's ed, please feel free to let us know, and we will do what we can to help you out with that. We won't bug you, calling you, reminding you that you've got payments due and such. All right, but the due date for final payment is tomorrow. So, unless you have special needs, that's when we expect the payment for the rest of the course. But once you finish paying it off, that's when we make you the certificate. That's what lets you get the permit, and that's what lets you start practicing to drive. Now, for those of you that still need to make a payment on the account, all you do is go over here to the top banner, click on the More right next to Classroom Portal, and then this comes up: Resources, Make a Payment, and Employment Application. All right. You can make a payment using our online system by simply going here and clicking on this. You can also make a payment by coming in person, or by making a phone call. They'll take a debit card payment over the phone happily. All right. Now, when you need to pay for your class, remember, you're paying for teen driver education. Log in and click on this. That should bring up the exact amount that you actually owe as a maximum payment. All right. So because this is us and we don't have a pending account, it will let me go all the way up to $295. But if you only owe $225, then that's going to be what the maximum allowable payment is. But as y'all can see, it starts at $10 and it goes up by increments of 5. All right, that's how you process a payment. For those of you that want to register for a drive, you're going to go to this button right here, the one that's flashing black and yellow. You're going to click on that guy. It's flashing because I was moving the mouse over and off it. I like these that respond to what we're doing because it makes it easy to show you all stuff. All right, and then once the page is loaded up, you come to these 4 tabs. You're going to go to the very last one, right? Teen Lessons, HDS Students, and you're very welcome. And you're going to click here. Just clicking there is going to bring up either the Weslaco or the FAR location. You will select the same one for all your drives. You will show up in respectable clothing, okay? We want to be comfortable when we're teaching you, so please don't go like you're dressed for the club. Show up like you're here for school, like you're here for an educational experience, all right? You need to be wearing your sensible shoes. Come to a drive in chanclas, you will not drive. Come to a drive in high heels, you will not drive. In botas, in dress shoes, you will not drive. We will accept tennis shoes, sneakers, skateboarding shoes. We will accept a pair of Crocs with a restraining strap, that one that goes behind your foot, because there's no lip and no heel on it. That is okay. But we cannot have any kind of heeled shoe or any kind of shoe with a lip for beginner drivers. Okay? Because those can get hung up, they can cause little micro emergencies, and then you panic, you freak out, and that can lead to a collision. So we will not let you drive with that. If you show up and you are not following those guidelines, if you do not have your permit, if you do not have your glasses, you will not be allowed to drive. You will be told, "I'm very sorry," and then you will be charged $40 because your permit, your glasses, your sensible shoes, or you were dressed for the club when you showed up and the driver or the instructor wasn't comfortable with it. All right, that's a thing, all right, because we need everyone to feel safe and comfortable. Let's see. Why are you not going? 1 second, and the page is being finicky. If ever you're trying to click on something and it will not load, just reload the page, and that generally fixes it. Wix is good, but not perfect. All right, and they're our host for this. But see, it's just as simple as that, folks. You pick where you want it, and then the calendar comes up. All right, I would like to drive on the 1st. I am not available at 4:30 because of school, but I am available at 5:30. So boom, I will click on that one. I can see who the driver is here, the time, Richard Cantu, Weslaco branch. Here's our address. 1 hour duration, click next, and boom. If you get approved, you will get an email saying, congratulations, your drive is approved, or something to that effect. Make an alarm, set a note, do something to remind you multiple times the day before, a couple hours before, and an hour before your drive, so that you show up. If you show up late to your drive by more than 10 minutes, you will not be driving. Anything between 5 and 10 minutes is at the discretion of the instructor. If he doesn't have another drive after you, they may be cool and give you the 10 minutes. If they have a drive after you, the 5 minutes may be too much. All right, folks, please show up on time. That is your responsibility. Now, don't just request one and hope you're going to get it. If you can drive on Tuesday, request that one on Tuesday. If you can drive on Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, Friday. Every one you're available to drive, you will select that one and you will apply for it, right? Because if nobody selects a drive, the driver does not drive during that hour, or the instructor does not drive during that hour. If 50 people select one drive, one of those people will get that drive. So select as many as you can, only in hours that you would be available, and once one is approved, you're good for the month. At the beginning of the next month, you do it over again. You start requesting. Once you get that one, you make that 1 hour a time that month, and boom, you move on. The following month, and we do this for 6 months. We get those first 6 lessons, and then you get that 7th lesson. You give us a call, be like, hey, my 6-month date is on this. I've already got my 6 lessons down. I would like to get lessons scheduled. Can you please help me out? They'll take a look. They'll see that you did everything awesome, that you always showed up, that you did knock them out once a month, and we will make sure that we get you that 7th drive as soon and as conveniently for you as possible. All right. If the nearest thing we have is 3 weeks out, but that's the first one we can get you, we'll give you that one. Okay, if that works for you. Okay. If it's going to be a month out, it's going to be a month out. If it's the day of your 6-month date and that's the next available one, and we can give it to you, we will. We'll gladly do so. We've had teens take lesson 7 in the AM. They watched the impact video the night before. They came back an hour later and took their driving test, and boom, they got their license on their 6-month date. Right? We've had plenty of individuals do that because they stayed on top of it and they got that last lesson taken care of. Right? But if you're not requesting drive after drive after drive, if your parents call up, why has my child not been given any drives? We can look up to see how many times you've requested. They requested 5 drives, and we told them you need to request around 15 to get 1 approval. 15 to 20 requests gets you 1 approval. That means 1 or 2 or 3 drives for like 2-3 weeks, and you should get 1. Okay? But if you're just doing 1 a month, and you're like, well, I can only drive on this day, this month, at this time, and that's it, and if I don't get it, I don't get it. Well, that's you choosing to be picky, folks. All right? We can't do that when we're adults. We have to take the availabilities that we have. But the good news is that 1 hour a month is easy to do. All right? Because it's just 1 hour. I mean, that's like the time that it takes to watch that horrible Dragon Ball Z movie, the live action one. You would much rather come to a driving lesson than watch that terrible movie. That movie was so bad, an actor from the movie apologized to me when I asked him about it. He didn't even try to explain. The first words out of his mouth were, I'm sorry. My kid said, oh my God, Dragon Ball Z, I signed up. I didn't know anything. I didn't realize what I was doing. And I was like, wow. So, an hour a month, you can find the time for that. You probably spend an hour a month, I don't know, just texting, just sitting there on your phone in bed, doing nothing else but texting. Or maybe an hour a month is your reading time. Well, I love reading books, but an hour a month, we can sacrifice 1 hour a month. 30 days, okay? You have 5 free hours a day. That's 150 hours. Now, if you choose to have activities like sports or journalism, folklorico, music, things like that, fantastic, but you're choosing how you spend those 5 hours. You can sacrifice one of those hours for driving lessons because your driver's license is just as important. And then practice. Every time you get a chance to drive, every time you get a chance to get behind the wheel, quick trip to the store, hey, let's go to H-E-B, hey, we're going to go on frontage down to here, we're going to go visit your tia, go visit your grandma. As long as you're able to do the drive or you're committed and you think you can drive safely in those conditions, you have the experience for it, ask for the drive. Take every opportunity because the more you drive, the more confidence you get. And remember, we need confident, competent drivers. Competent drivers know exactly what they need to do. Confident drivers do it well. And you got to have both. You can be a confident, lousy driver. You can be a competent, unconfident driver. But you need to be both to be a successful, long-term, safe driver. Right? When we choose not to be competent, well, we get ourselves in trouble. Now, for the contract, that one's simple. Once again, you just go to this little down chevron next to your name. Ours says office heads because that's us here at the office. All right, and you just go down to contracts, give it the old click, give it like 3 seconds to load up. There it is, and then teen course contract. Although most of y'all already have that taken care of, just one last thing to show y'all. All right, now, I'm going to give my outro, and y'all are welcome to leave at that point because we're done. We have finished day 15 of teen driver education. However, afterwards, I do like to give what I call Steve's sage advice. And it's just, 3 things that I learned in life. And if someone had sat down and told me just a little sooner, someone helped me figure these 3 things out long before I finally figured them out as an adult, I might have been a little more successful in life. I might have been a little more driven person. I might have been a better Steve. And, I'm constantly trying to change who I am. But at this point, I'm kind of behind in the game. Right? Y'all are still young. Y'all still have your entire life ahead of you. So every day make the world a better place. But first, do no harm. Don't do harm to yourself. Don't do harm to others. And don't do harm by inaction. All right? If you hear that your neighbor is beating on his wife, yeah, you know what? That's their thing. We shouldn't be getting involved, but he also shouldn't be beating his wife. You sitting there and doing nothing just lets the problem continue. All right? If your neighbor comes out and like, oh yeah, you got some gauze because my girlfriend just stabbed me in the hand. You sitting there and helping them bandage up, yeah, that's doing a good thing. But not being like, hey, you need to get rid of that because someone that cares about you ain't gonna stab you in the hand, then you're letting bad things happen. Don't do that, folks. Don't sit back and let bad things happen. That's just as bad as doing those things. Not when you have the power to stop them, when you have the power to help. All right, a guy named Joey told 15 guys if they messed with him or me, they were going to mess with him. And because of that, the number of broken bones I experienced my freshman year was 0. And for me, that was special. For me, that was wonderful. For me, that was the difference that gave me the strength to continue fighting, to continue living. And for him, it was just something he did without even telling me about it because he just wanted to help. He saw somewhere where he could step in and be a positive influence. So thank him for it. I thank him every day for it. All right. And then, of course, every day you have that power to change, power to choose, power to make yourself one step closer to the awesomeness that you can be. All right. Now, let's see. We just got to show up at the DPS and ask for your permit. Okay, so once you've gotten everything from the packet in the certificate, and we've got that video posted up, you can watch that. But once you've got everything in the packet together, your proof of residency, identity, social security, your VOE, proof of insurance if you already have a car registered in your name, once you have, and the forms, once you have all of that together, yeah, you just go to you set up an appointment for the DMV, you go to our webpage, and you go to resources, and then there's a big button that says DPS scheduler. You click on that, you schedule yourself an appointment for the DPS, and then you just submit your stuff. They will immediately check your eyes, take your picture, and bam, permit, because you already passed the written test. You don't have to do anything else, anything extra special to get your permit. You just take them the proof that you passed your written test. That's that driver's ed certificate we'll give you once you pay the course in full, and all the other stuff that they need for verifications. And then boom, yeah, that's all you got to do to get your permit. It's very quick, very easy, because we give you that DL14 form. You just hand it to them instead of filling it out there another 10 minutes at the DMV, and boom, you're in and out. Like 10 minutes. Once they start talking to you, 10 minutes later, you should be done and ready to walk out with a printed copy of your permit, unless there's a line for people getting their permit pictures already. Okay? It is that simple, right? But that is class, folks. Now, Steve Sage advice, right? And it's just 3 simple lessons, 3 things that I learned in life And it took me a while because I believed a lot of lies. I believed a lot of stupid things because of negative self-image, because of negative self-esteem, low self-esteem. My anxiety, all kinds of things affected why it took me such a long time to figure this stuff out. But you deserve better. If you have a friend that they make you feel like garbage kind of once in a while, and they're always using you to make themselves feel better, but when you need that support, they're not really there for you. Okay, that's a leech. You deserve better. In our interpersonal relationships, that's like your friends, your family, your significant others. You deserve someone, regardless of what it is, that A, makes you feel good about who you are. That reminds you that you do not have to be more than who you are to be worthy of their love and affection, their friendship. You do not have to buy their friendship. It does not cost money. It does not cost deeds. Yes, those things build the bond, but when they're done for the right reason, it's not about payment. It's about, I'm helping someone that needs help. And then when I need help, they help me. So remember, you deserve better. I was in a loveless marriage with a woman that would sing divorce and threaten to take my kids away every single time that I tried to stand up for myself in that relationship. And I told myself for the longest time that I didn't deserve any better than a woman that would treat me like that. I didn't deserve any better than a significant other that would spend all of our money on stuff for them and leave us without money for bills. Because at least she was pretty. At least she was beautiful. So I got what I deserved, right? I just didn't get what I wanted. No, you deserve better. You do not deserve to have a friend, have a significant other, or even a relative that you deal with on a regular basis that treats you like garbage. When you do, you cut them out of your life because you deserve better. All right? If you're working a regular lousy job where you make minimum wage and don't get enough hours and your boss treats you like garbage, you deserve better there too. You can go find another job. Don't feel like, well, I've been here for so long and it's hard to, no, just commit yourself to finding better because you can. You can find it. Now, is it going to be easy? No. Because first and foremost, education counts. And without a good education, you can't get a good job where you become invaluable. And invaluability is the only way that we become safe and happy in our lives, is when we are not easily replaced. So first, you got to get that education. You got it. But understand that you deserve better. The treatment that you receive from people doesn't have to be bad because you're unattractive, because you're sad, because you're lonely. As a matter of fact, those are all reasons why those people should be extra awesome with you, not extra shitty. Because sometimes, everybody needs a little bump, a little boost, a little help, a hand to pull you out of the gutter. And you deserve better. So surround yourself with people that are better. Better friends. Okay? Your friends always getting you into trouble. They always need stuff. They're never there for you. And when you post Facebook stuff or Twitter or whatever, they're the first one that got to act like a hater. And just kidding, LOL. Yeah, you don't need that kind of person in your life. You need a person that is going to make you feel better about who you are every day. My significant other and I, we're constantly just like thanking each other for being wonderful. We're constantly reminding each other about how much we care about each other. And even when we fight over stupid stuff, we don't hold on to that anger. We just let it go because we understand that they deserve better too. I deserve better. She deserves better. And we don't need to hold on to anger and all that nonsense. You just let stuff go because we all deserve better. But that means we have to be better too. Because if you're out there looking for the perfect people to fill your life with and you are not perfect, they're going to run screaming when you find them. All right, so rule 1, you deserve better. Rule 2, the reason that we fall down is so that we can stand back up. Every time you stumble, every time you fall, every time you trip in life is an opportunity for you to go, no, I want this more. And you stand right back up, you get back on your feet, and you don't quit. Okay? When I was going to college when I was 19,
I was not in an emotionally good place. I was not an emotionally stable person. Hell, I didn't even realize I had an anxiety issue until I was about 30, because that's when the world finally started recognizing it. That anxiety and depression is an actual thing that people got to deal with, and I've been dealing with it. I can think back to things all the way back to 5 years old, where that was clearly an anxiety attack because that was out of control. All right? So we fall down so that we can get back up, because we do not let things stop us. I fell down the day that my grandfather died. I felt guilty that I hadn't visited him. He was the closest thing that I had to a dad in 2 months. And I used that as the shittiest excuse ever to drop out of college the first time. Lost my financial aid because I stopped going to classes, lost a few good friends, picked a couple of them back up a few years later, but just lost touch with some good people that I really wished I hadn't, because I gave up on myself. Because I fell down and I thought it was okay to lie down there on the ground. Because nobody told me that I deserved better. Nobody told me that the ground was not good enough for me. Where do you go get the packet, or is it explained in the video? You come to our office. Once you paid the course off in full, if you sign up through Weslaco, you'll pick it up in Weslaco. If you sign up in FAR, you'll go to our FAR office and pick it up over there. But you just have to call and verify that it's ready for you. That way they can issue it to you. And all you need to get your packet is final payment and pass the DPS test. All right. To get permission to go on drives, you need to complete all 16 assignments. But to get the packet, it's just those 2 requirements. All right. Yeah. And it's just like an envelope with the certificate and other stuff, that, like the checklist of all the other things that you need and whatever we can provide you. All right. Oh, and remember, folks, if the parent that has all the bills in their name is not the one that's going to drive you to the DMV, ask for a affidavit of residency. Ask for one of the papers about proving where you live. Okay, it's called an affidavit of residency, but it's just a piece of paper that proves where you live, so that the individual who's got the bills in their name doesn't have to go with you. Anyone can take you once that's filled out. Okay? And that's awesome, because, well, you still need a parent to take you because they need to sign for you, but the other parent can take you even though the bills aren't under their name, and that's usually the parent that also has more free time to do those things. Okay? But yeah, we fall down. We're going to fail in life. Okay? It is not a problem. You ask out, me in high school, this was my senior year. Every Wednesday I would start looking for a date for the dance, because we had a dance about every 2 weeks, every other Friday. And so every Wednesday I would start looking for a dance. If I found a dance the week before, or date a week before, sweet, I was done. If I didn't, the next Wednesday I would start up again, and I always found a date. But this is how I did it. Would you like to go to the dance with me? You like to dance with me? No, you don't? Okay. Would you like to go to the dance with me? Why did I ask her first? Because I knew she was going to say no, and I was hoping you'd feel a little bit bad for me. Still no? No. Would you go to the dance with me? Why did I ask you last? You saved the best for last. The one that I wanted to say yes the hardest. I hope that after hearing 2 people say no, she'd have a hard time. And I got it. So I kept trying, and I kept trying, and I kept trying, and I kept trying, and just like when you're requesting the drives, you take every opportunity you can, I took every opportunity I could. And I had a date for every dance except one. And that one I had a date for, I gave her the mum for the homecoming. She just stood me up. But I had a great time every time, because I didn't let that little bit of failure, I didn't let those first 2 or 3 no's get me. I stepped up my game, I worked harder, I was more clever, I asked more people, and I had fun. Because I did not let failure stop me, I just used it as the next step to get me to where I was going. And eventually I succeeded, right? When it came to college, I got back into school, and unfortunately, my dream, marine biology, kind of went away because there was 150 times the number of people with that as their declared major as there were new jobs a year. So I was like, well, I guess that's not going to work out, because there's not going to be enough jobs to support all these crazy people taking this. So I switched over to veterinary medicine. And when I did not get accepted to my dream school, the University of San Diego, because then I could work at the San Diego Zoo for my internship, I gave up on myself again. And I just pivoted to biology. and I kind of like my grades started slipping. And then my gallbladder ruptured on finals day when I was just going for a biology major, and I realized, biology's not worth anything. I don't want to be a school teacher. I'm just going to stop going to college. I needed to have picked better. And again, I gave up on myself, and because of that, I didn't study for the exams that I needed to, and again, I lost financial aid. Now, my fiance went through something similar, but we finally got her back on financial aid, and she's now like 8 classes away from her degree in library sciences. That's a librarian. That's an actual job, and they're all over the nation, and it's the same requirement, library sciences degree. All right? So wherever we go, that is a valid, solid degree. There are libraries in basically every real city and school, so we will be able to find her a job, and it's very specific, so, there's a higher likelihood of her getting that job. And that's fantastic. Chase a career, not a field. All right, my buddy Andre, Masters in Literature, was working at a bookstore. Okay? Because Masters in Literature is gnarly, is awesome, but unless you get one of those few literary gigs, it's not going to help. All right, so rule number 1 is you deserve better. Rule number 2 is we fall down so we can get back up again. Rule number 3, live smart. Live life like you've got one chance at it. Live your best life. Do not pass up opportunities for knowledge, for wisdom, for skills that will help you in the future. Okay? You are in control of your life. You are steering that ship. You are 100% in charge of what goes down with you. If you refuse to give up, if you refuse to quit fighting, you will get that education because you need it. Without an education, you will be replaceable. Without an education, you will never own a brand new car without having to struggle. All right? Unless you find yourself a sugar significant other that has all the money already. But if you got to earn it yourself, sometimes in life, we got to learn where responsibility lies and to take responsibility for what we do. Shaun of the Dead. Okay? We have to learn what is in our control and what we can actually affect. Hot Fuzz. We have to take responsibility for our actions and clean up our messes. At World's End. Little did you know that those 3 movies starring Simon Pegg were a trilogy about growing up. But that's what it is, folks. Right? And the most important thing you can do to grow up is make yourself indispensable. Get that job, get that career. A certificate in welding, you stand to make more money than just a high school diploma. And that's 3 or 4 classes. HVAC repair, that's like 2 school years of school, but the certificate in that is probably good for like $50,000 a year anywhere in the state other than the valley. And places where it's, under greater demand, more money. And HVAC, there are places that need those kind of repair people, and bad. Right? Technical, like tech, programming, coding, things like that, that's the future. If that's what you're interested in, if you dig that, that is a great field and you will find work in it. But make sure you learn how to make a specific kind of product. Because learning how to code and not learning how to make a specific product is kind of like learning to speak a language, but then never visiting the country. You have no way to use the language. Okay? So education, folks. Rule number 3 is make yourself indispensable, and the best way to do that is education. Okay? The harder it is to replace you, the more you are worth. And once you are hard to replace, like stupid hard, where you could be like, I want to raise or I quit. And their option is like 6 months without a good person, 3 months without a good person, or give them a raise. That's when you have power. That's when you won't have to worry that someone's going to tell you something like, oh, you feel free to quit if you don't like your job here. Go ahead. I got 50 people waiting for a job, or for this job. They'll be more than happy to do exactly what we tell them. Okay? That's life. Right? Sometimes we got to do stuff that sucks. You do it, you do your best, and you can't ask for more. Because you deserve better. You deserve better, but you have to give better. You have to give your best to receive the best. Only accept the best. Okay? When you fail, you stand right back up. When you fail, you do not let it stop you. You do not let it push you down. You do not let it make you think that you are a failure. The difference between a failure and a person who fails is quite simply, did you get up? A failure lies there on the ground and waits for death. Accepts their position. Does nothing to fight back. A person who has failed has stood up and is trying again. And become indispensable. And I mean everywhere. In your interpersonal relationships, in your relationship, okay? In your household, you need to be indispensable. Because that means that you're doing everything you can, and you are pulling more than your weight. You are doing what needs to be done. Okay? Because when we grow up, my little brother's getting married this month. I had a conversation with his fiance that he feels that she's failed if, you know, like there's dirty dishes in the sink when he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He works graveyard shift, so he gets up that late. He works 14 hours a day. And I was like, but why didn't the dishes get washed? Oh, I didn't feel like doing them. Should he be getting mad at you? Absolutely not. But either of you could have done the dishes. It didn't have to be you. He could have done them if he didn't like it. But somebody needs to do them because the dishes got to get washed. Right? Sometimes in life, we feel like we're getting the short end of the stick in those relationships that we have, in the work relationships or the private ones. But are we really like just not wanting to put in a little extra once in a while? Or are we always giving 110% and then they're not? Well, if that's the case, then you deserve better. But if we're not giving our 110%, then they deserve better too. Okay? And it's tough. I know it's very tough to accept responsibility for everything. I know it's very tough to not give up when it's hard. Right? I've been trying for over 20 years to get published, and I'm going to try again next year. By next year, I will have another submission typed out and ready to send off to get rejected or accepted. But I'm going to keep trying. All right? I know this world sucks, but every day I'm going to keep trying to make the world a better place because that's me. Because y'all deserve better too. Y'all deserve better than the world that we kind of set up and that your generation is continuing on with. Because it's not until we all decide that we deserve better that things are really going to change. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Today was day 15, the last and final live stream for Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway, the mid-October class. All right? Folks, y'all have learned a great deal of information. Y'all have been here for some lectures that have provided a ton of stuff, and I've given you some advice, and I hope that I was able to help you in one way or another, just slightly beyond just the driver's ed. I hope driver's ed was fun, but thank you so much on behalf of the entire Hernandez Driving School staff. Thank you for choosing the Hernandez Driving School. Thank you for letting me be your teacher and giving me this opportunity to make the world a better place in my own way. Thank you for giving me the privilege of being the person that gets to teach you the responsibility that you're trying to embark on and make you understand how serious it is. Thank you for giving me the chance to help you become the best you possible. Because without signing up here, you wouldn't have. Thank you for choosing Hernandez because we do care about your safety. And on behalf of the entire staff, we can't wait to see you for the driving lessons. So please stay on top of that. Get those assignments finished up. All right. Get that documentation together. Get the course paid off. Go out and get your permit and start those drives. All right. Once you start those drives, stay on top of them once a month. Sensible shoes, t-shirt, jeans, great clothes to learn to drive in. All right. If you got to wear glasses, bring your glasses. If you got your contacts in, don't be surprised if we're checking to see if the contacts are really in. Because if you can't see, you can't drive. If you can't drive, we can't let you drive. That's our license if we let you go without that stuff. So we got to check to make sure that you've got everything you need. You need to have that permit on you. That is your permit, not your parents'. If your mom gets pulled over and she accidentally hands the officer your permit, the officer can choose to fine her for having someone else's permit, for having someone else's identification, because it's your identification, not ours. Not dad's, not your uncle's, not your significant others. It is your driver's license, and therefore the law states that you're the only one legally able to carry it around. All right, folks? But the rest is on you. Welcome to adulthood. I hope you enjoy the experience of having to do everything for yourself, because that's the rest of your life. But we treat you like adults because we don't let children drive. We don't let babies drive. We let young adults and adults drive. And that's what y'all have become. Adults. Young, but adults. So get it. Get it! It's your responsibility, your task, your license. You're going to be the one renewing it. But you got this because you're in control of your life. You have the power to make those decisions. All right, everybody? So, once again, thank you so much for choosing us. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for being here with me on this adventure. And, as always, thank you for joining us. Because today was day 15 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. I'll be posting up the final 2 assignments, the day 15 assignment and the day 16 final exam. Don't let the name scare you. You got this, folks. All right, please feel free to leave your feedback at the end of the final exam in the questions available to you, or the locations available to you. And have a wonderful day. Be safe. Pay attention. Get that observation going, because once you're behind the wheel of a car, observation is what keeps you safe. All right, look at the signs. Learn your areas. Learn your neighborhood. Learn your city, because the more you know, the easier it is to be, or the easier it's going to be to get around. All right, folks, and just be the best you can, because y'all have that power. It's right here. It's in your hands. It's in your heart. And every day you can choose, you can change, and you can just be the best you ever. Right? So choose it. Decide it. Make it the truth. All right. Bye, everyone. Hopefully I'll see you on drives. But it might not happen. So who knows? But thank you so much. Y'all have a lovely evening. Be safe, be well. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Halloween and a wonderful holiday season this year. And just remember, folks, every day, make that world a better place. Every day, appreciate the amazing person that you're becoming and become a little more awesome. Every day, let's work on this place together. Let's make this world worth living in. Bye, everyone. Take care.